So I'm a big fan of clowns, and I searched on the gallery a couple weeks ago just the word clown, as one does. And what do you know? Someone uploaded a couple of clown sims and their pet cat, and they did such a good job, and I loved them so much that I needed to decorate an apartment for them. And with the release of Businesses and Hobbies, we now have another clown painting, this time a happy version, so I have to use it in my first build since I bought the pack. And if you've been here for a while, you'll know I usually add in the tragic clown painting in all my builds, but it's actually been missing from the last two, and that is honestly shameful of me. I'm so sorry. I'll never go that long without it again. So the inspiration of this is Pastel Clown, and I wanted it to be so colorful with patterns everywhere, and I wanted your eyes to hurt a little when you look at it, and I think I did it. I think I succeeded, and I want to yap a little about clowns and jesters and their history with you as well as I assault your vision with my flashbang of an apartment. So I am building this in the fashion district of San Myshuno, and this apartment is 131321 Chic Street. It's the Needs TLC apartment, and as you can see, it's the one that has that tape outline on the floor, which I thought was really fitting for this because I think a clown would think it's kind of funny to have that sticking out from under the floor. I think this was the perfect choice. And once I had the floor plan finished, I really just wanted to get into picking my wallpaper, and I just wanted to pick the loudest, craziest wallpaper that we had. I knew we had to use that kind of kids wallpaper with the circles and the one with the squares, a lot of shapes going on. And then for the tile, using the Love Struck crazy colorful tile, the wallpaper was so fun to pick out, and I love getting to use these things that I don't use a lot. Since this was very pastel themed, it was hard to add red into it in places because it looks so dark and harsh in comparison, and the pastel version of red is just pink. But I really wanted to add some hints of red here and there since bright red is kind of essential to the popular image of a clown with the bright red nose. So there's not a lot of red, but I made sure to have a teeny bit at least here and there. That bubble lamp thing I ended up changing to the red swatch, and then just a chair here and there, and then maybe on the carpet or decor. And as I was going through the catalog to decorate this, I would find things be like, oh, I have to make sure I use that. Oh, I have to make sure I use that too. And I just start putting things in random rooms and hoping that it'll work out later. And it did all come together. The only part that I had a hard time with, and you will see with this later, is the bathrooms because they are so small. These clowns actually have a cat, so I needed room for a litter box. And then both of the rooms are 2x2. So having to fit the shower in there, and then also with the way that window is placed, is just bothering me so much. And you do have the ability to move the windows in apartments now. They've let you do that for a while now, but I haven't actually built in an apartment since they added that. I really don't use apartments very often, even though I do really like them. So looking at the outside of the building, I did add a window where there isn't a window in some other parts of the building, but I think from the outside it looks fine. And also because of the Needs TLC apartment, if you look on the outside of the building, the rest of the levels actually have a window where the breaker box is and those pipes. So our apartment doesn't match the rest of the building anyway, so I think I should be allowed to add a couple windows if I wanted to. By that logic, I totally could have gotten rid of that bathroom window, but for some reason I kept it and worked around it, even though it probably would have looked better and worked better, and I could have done more what I wanted without it. So, oops. The living room is probably my favorite room in this entire house because I got to use so much fun stuff in here. I got to use that weird wall decoration because it looks like a fun house, almost the fun house tunnels. And I don't think I've ever used it. I think that's the one from Decor to the Max kit. And I got to use the penguin TV outside of kids' room. It makes sense within this build. As the coffee table, we have that trunk thing. I like to think they keep a lot of their, clown clothes in there. And I got to use so many really fun mirrors in here too. There's so many different cool shapes of mirror that I never get to use because I normally don't do modern builds at all either, and that's where you would more likely use them. But I got to use so much cute stuff that you'd normally put in a kid's room. And then of course I have the clown, the happy clown on a wall all by itself, and I used those new lights that we got from Businesses and Hobbies and I put them all around it, kind of like a show mirror with all the bulbs. I used a lot of decals on the walls. You'll see the walls get very, very cluttered. I just put as much as I could all over the walls. If there was an empty space, I was like, there needs to be something there, because at this point, with the amount of stuff and patterns and everything, any place that looks empty feels wrong. It needs to be covered by something. Something has to be going on. I even got to use the spooky stuff wall lights in this build. You know, the ones where it looks like the zombie hand holding the candle? Very, very exciting. I had so much fun making this. And it's very on theme of me to like clowns. I think it just makes sense. I especially love them in media, and that extends to jesters as well. Shout out to my boy Cicero from Skyrim. They're just so much fun, and the point of their entire existence is to be fun, to make people laugh. And as far as history goes, I think it's actually very humanizing to think that court jesters were a real thing during the Middle Ages for entertainment. A literal king would have someone wear a silly hat, because yes, the silly hats were real, and tell jokes and sing and dance and juggle because, well, they were funny. It made them laugh. And disclaimer here, I'm not pro medieval king or anything. It's just an example. Eat the rich, of course. But jesters would also travel and perform for common people. Not everyone was a court jester, because joy is not only for the wealthy. People have always wanted to laugh, and isn't that so sweet? People have always been the same. I think it's comforting and also hopeless, and I love to think about it. Court jesters specifically are very interesting, though, because they got to hold a position that was so unique at the time, where not a lot of people could make fun of nobility the way that they were allowed to, because they were given a leeway that no one else had at that point. And obviously I'm talking about medieval Europe because it's what I'm most familiar with, but jesters have been seen in many, many countries for many, many, many years. This is just what I'm speaking about because I'm familiar with it. But with that, it kind of created a very interesting social position for a jester to be in, and in some cases provided a social mobility that was otherwise very, very difficult, borderline impossible to achieve at the time if you were born a serf or a peasant, or if you were born with some sort of deformity. So as I get into this, I want to be very, very careful, because the way I want to talk about this, I want to have some sort of nuance here. Being born with any sort of mental or physical disability at the time would obviously have been very, very difficult, especially if you were born poor. And there was such thing as a natural fool at the time, is what they called it, is someone who has some sort of mental or physical disability that would perform as a fool or jester. And becoming a fool provided an alternative in the form of a higher social standing and money for people that may have been unable to perform harder physical labor. And a lot of things that I've read will insist that they were well taken care of, and it just grosses me out. It is very reminiscent of, keeping with the clown theme, the circuses and freak shows that you see kind of later in the 1800s, with a lot of people joining the circus because they can't find work anywhere else, and then they are exploited to make someone else rich when they had no other options, and they are paid scraps and treated like shit. It was a little different, obviously, because they're not making someone rich, but having a court jester, and especially one that was a quote a natural fool, was also a status thing for whoever employed that jester. So it's kind of treating these people as pets, and you can say, well, the alternative would have been blah, blah, blah. It still doesn't make it good. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's a really difficult subject for people that really had very, very limited options. There are quite a few examples of female jesters, and this, I think, shows the distinction I'm trying to make pretty well. If a woman was a jester at the time, it would have been similar in the way that it gave you a lot more freedom in a world where you probably would have been a lot more restricted in what you could have done. But they're not usually laughing at you because you're a woman. It was an opportunity for you to use comedy and your skills as an entertainer to build something for yourself that would have been harder as a woman. But they're not laughing at the fact that you are a woman, usually. Do you get what I mean? So when I say the social mobility is a good thing, I mean it in the sense of women jesters, people who were poor, not so much people that were taken advantage of when they had extremely limited options. Anyway, mini rant over. I hope I handled that okay. But pre-1800s is mostly the time of jesters and fools and buffoons. And I love that those are real words they were serious. Now we use, if someone's acting like a fool, that's not a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing to me, but you know what I mean? You don't use buffoon as a compliment usually, but I love that was a real word that once upon a time meant something besides just something derogatory. But we don't see the more modern circus clown until the 1800s, and then they really start to diverge from clown and jester. It's kind of hard to draw a line between them. What is a clown? What is a jester or fool? And I think it's mostly up to the historical context. We think jester, we think pointy shoes in the Middle Ages. We think clown, we think the white face and the red nose and the flower that sprays water in your face. But the clown has heavy similarities to the street performers that would have been called jesters a few hundred years earlier. They're adjacent, so I am talking about them both in this video, but I understand they're not interchangeable usually. In my opinion, though, you could probably call a jester a clown. You could probably call a clown a jester, depending on what each individual is doing for performances. I think clowns are generally more known for physical comedy, usually, but not exclusively, and jesters would do the same sort of thing. So it depends. I want to check in on the actual build a little bit for a second. This bedroom I was picturing as kind of a teen's room. Technically, it was based off of the sim that I downloaded, and they were a young adult, but I was imagining like maybe that's the other clown's younger brother, and he's a teenage clown. And I made sure I used the Fool tarot card in this build, obviously. And I had a lot of fun using movie hangout stuff. You can see I used those for some of the doors, and then that cabinet. I never ever use that stuff because the colors are usually too outrageous for me, but I got to use them here. I also got to use stuff from the new mini Pride update that they did. So I used the bed in here, and then I also used the wall decoration with the flag in the same room. And then I also used the gallery wall that they gave us over by the dining table because they're also colorful. It's perfect to use. I really like that we've been getting more gallery wall stuff in a lot of different packs. I do wish now we could start getting normal ones again so that I could make my own, because sometimes there's not enough swatches and some of the pictures on that, like, that's not the vibe. The one that we got from the Secret Sanctuary kit, I love that gallery wall, but I don't want a picture of Bella Goth. Why would I have that in this room? I didn't even use that in this build. It's just something I've been building a lot lately, and whenever I use that, it pisses me off because there are swatches that don't have a picture of Bella Goth, but only some, and they don't come in the same frame color. So if I want to use a certain frame color, I have to have a picture of Bella Goth in my house, and it pisses me off. I do love the gallery walls, but either give me a lot more swatches with every different picture option, with every different frame option, or just give me regular pictures back and I can make them myself. We're now into the main bedroom. This is the master bedroom because it has the ensuite bathroom, and this is the girl clown's room, which, by the way, if any women clowns are watching this video, hit me up. I'm available. I enjoy Ghosts and The Sims and Fallout 3, so just putting that out there. I'm sorry. Just a little note to add in here real quick. I did put that cabinet in front of the breaker box in this bedroom, and you do need to use that sometimes because this is a needs TLC apartment and sometimes it'll break. So if you just get rid of it and then you can put it back, it should be fine. But I had to cover it because it's ugly, and also I wanted more stuff in this room. You can just store it and then put it back once your situation is dealt with in the apartment. If you actually do use this, I know apartments are kind of difficult to use when they're on the gallery and stuff because I had to upload it as a room, so then it's hard to find. But as usual, gallery stuff is in the description anyway. I used the new inflatable chair for the first time as well, and isn't it so cute? I love the inflatable chair. And I love the Pastel pop kit, even on a normal day, but it is so good for this. It's literally perfect. So I have a lot of that going on in this house. And then also the Storybook Nursery kit came with that little tent thing that you normally would put like a children's bed underneath, but it's actually called the Clowntastic tent. So I had to use it in this build. So I put it above the desk. Originally I was going to use it in the other room, but it didn't fit because that room was so tiny. I know the other one also looked like that desk wasn't going to work in the other room. I play tested it. I did have to scoot the bed and the desk extremely into the wall, but it doesn't clip. So your sim can use that desk in the other room as well. And I'm ashamed to say that I used my first pet stuff in this build, but look at the little egg cat bed. It's so cute and it's so clown core. I had to, absolutely had to. Anything wacky. I did originally put in the My First Pet Stuff litter box too, but I got rid of that because your sim has to clean that one, and I decided to go with the laser one because I didn't want your sim to have trouble getting into the area to clean the litter box because that bathroom is so small. I did make sure the cat can get into the litter box I ended up placing the one with the laser eyes. I thought that one was plenty camp as well anyway. I did end up having to change a couple things, I think, and then also at the end I added a couple things that I forgot, like the microphone, because I imagine that this sim right here, the lady sim, is in the entertainer career and has, like, you know, the joke star aspiration probably. So made sure there's a guitar in here, made sure there's a microphone so she can practice her comedy skill, everything, so that if you use this, it will actually work and your sims have things they can do to build skills, and so it'll actually be fun to play with. This sim also has an easel because I usually, whenever I play, I like to have a skill that your sim can do that can get you money pretty quickly if you ever find yourself in need. Rent's due. I don't have any money. Quick, do a painting. I don't know where all my money goes when I play this game, but I find myself not having any very, very often. I guess I convert any reckless spending I would do in real life into The Sims, so I guess it's for the best. But actually, I have a job interview on Tuesday, and I haven't been to a job interview in probably about 3 years. And I didn't even get that job, by the way. I just ended up staying at the job I had. I feel pretty good about this one. It's at a small local grocery store. I'd be decorating cakes, and I think it's pretty funny too because I did my video with the Vintage Heart Cake Bakery, and then I talked about history of piping cakes. So that's a fun coincidence. I wasn't even looking for it. I didn't even see it. Someone showed it to me and said, I think you'd be good at this. And I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it. And I have an interview on Tuesday, so wish me luck. We pretty much just have bathrooms left, but talking about clowns and jesters and everything kind of got me remembering something. So I went to the Renaissance Fair last year with some friends, and there was this small family circus performing there, and we absolutely loved it. We skipped a joust just to see them again. And there was one guy in a little jester outfit, and first of all, he was the star. He juggled, he swallowed a sword, he was silly, he had it all. But most importantly, his name was Elijah. But it was the way the announcer guy, who was on stilts by the way, introduced him that really sold it. He wasn't just Elijah, okay? He was Elijah. And just the way he said it had us all adopting it, and we would just say Elijah to each other for months after that. And Elijah is famous to us now. And now that I've just talked about this, I'm sure the Elijah thing will make a return between myself and my friends. We weren't doing it for a while, it kind of faded away. Now I remember, I recall, I can't believe I would forget him, my beloved Elijah. But we would say it just random words with the same inflection. I want to go to the Renaissance Fair again this year, I think. It's so much fun. It is kind of expensive. I think it's like $50 entry fee. We got to go for free last year because my friend got tickets from someone, just gave them to her at work because it was the last weekend and they had tickets. They worked there or something. They were a vendor. I don't know. So we all got to go for free, and I got this super, super cute bag of Napoleon's wife, but as a cat on this bag. I'll put a picture up because it's so cute. And when I bought it, there was this old man running the little shop, and he wasn't really paying attention to any of the people that were, looking at stuff or anything. He was reading a book at his counter, and I saw this bag, and I had walked past it because it's kind of expensive. My friend's like, oh, it's kind of expensive. I was like, yeah, but I mean, someone's my birthday. Like, it could be my birthday present to myself. And it was a really big, really nice tote bag, and I don't even have one, and I'm so glad I got it now because I use it to carry my crochet stuff when I go sit at the bookstore and crochet. So good purchase. Recommend. Do not regret it. But originally I walked past and I was like, oh, I'm not going to get it. And I kept thinking about it. I was like, I need to go back for this bag. And so I get the bag and I go up to the man and, I'm going to pay for this bag. Then when I go to leave and I go to tell him to have a nice day, he beats me to it. Except he doesn't say have a nice day. He says, have a good life. So I'm like, oh, okay, not what I was expecting. I was kind of caught off guard by that, and I just said, you too, and then I left. But I think about that sometimes. Have a good life. You know what? I'm gonna try. I will certainly try. And I mean, it's a little better now that I have this super cute bag, so thank you, sir. And I'm sure I will never see him again, so I hope he's also having a good life. It was a bit foreboding at the time. It was kind of a little scary. Like, he saw into my future and he was, I don't know, leaving me a message. Was I supposed to look into that more? I don't know. I have this feeling even if I do go back this year, I will not see him again. This was the bathroom that had me contemplating whether I should get rid of the windows or not, by the way, because I was switching this around so many different ways, and it would have looked so much better if I just got rid of the window so I could put the mirror in a better place and the shower in a better place, and it would make sense because there's no stupid window there, but it's fine. Everything works. I did originally put a shelf in this room too, but I had to get rid of it because it made the room unusable. If you have any suggestions for what I should build next or what you want to see, please let me know. My last video did insanely well. I was not expecting it, especially after not having posted for almost 2 months, but now it is the most viewed video on my channel. It even surpassed the Clue video, which is crazy and a little bit sad considering how much work that video was, but it's fine. I was really happy with the last one, so I'm glad that it did really well. I was just pretty surprised by it. I don't have any plans at this very moment for what I'm going to build next, but I 100% would love suggestions. I thought about trying to do something spring themed, but the thing is, I probably should have done that, back in March or April, but the thing is, where I live, spring is quite short because our winter is so long. So we get about a month of spring in May, maybe a little bit in April, and then it's just straight into summer. So in June, you probably get a summer themed build, but for the rest of May, I don't really have any plans. It kind of just depends on what I start building within these next few days. I have one that I'm really, really excited about, but I'm not going to start building that for a little while. I want to let it marinate for a little bit. I want to have a lot of details on that one because I'm really, really excited for it. For now, if you have any ideas for something fun, please let me know. And I was quite surprised by the amount of subscribers I got with the last video. I think that is the most I've ever gotten from releasing a single video ever. I'm almost at 100, which is quite a few people. It's pretty crazy to me. So I want to say, thank you. I'm going to be honest, I didn't think I'd ever make it this far. Thanks for listening to me yap, and we can go right into screenshots now, and hopefully I will maybe see you next time. You could even just give me a fun fact about something and I could make a build based on that. I mean, I made this whole thing based on clowns, so I'll take anything.